Hey, what's going on everyone? My name is Gaurav and this is Neat Designs, and in today's episode we are going to learn how to create a pure CSS horizontal scrolling page. So without any further ado, let's get started. So as usual in my editor I have this markup.html file with the basic HTML5 template. So let's start creating our markup. So in body let's add a section with a class of scroll, and inside that section we need 5 div elements. Okay, so div with a common class of h scroll underscore block, and let's multiply it by 5, and inside those h scroll block we need a class of background and a span with a class of letter. So I'm using emit to quickly create our markup. So if I hit the tab key now, our markup will be ready. So as you can see, we got a section with a class of h scroll, and inside that section we have these 5 h scroll blocks. Okay, and each of them we have a div with a class of background and a span with a class of letter. Okay, so now let's fill out this span with a letter to form a word focus. So F
O C U
and S. Let's save that. So as you can see, our spans are creating a word focus. So that's all we have for the markup. Let's move on to the styles now. So in styles.css, let's target the universal selector, and let's set the margin to 0 for all the elements, and let's set the box sizing property to border dash box. Okay, so now let's target the body, and let's set the font family to Helvetica Neue and sans serif as our fallback font. So as you can see, the font is changed. So now let's move on to the section with the class of scroll, and let's set the height to 100 VW and width to 100 VH. So we are exchanging the width and height values, and now let's set the padding to 20 pixels all around, background to let's say hex code of 222. So now let's go back to body, and let's say overflow hidden to hide the scroll bars, and now let's come back here and let's say overflow hidden to the x-axis and auto on the y-axis. Okay, so now let's move on to the h scroll block, and let's set the width and height of it. So let's say width, and let's use the calc function, and let's say 100 VH minus 40 pixels. Okay, so I am subtracting the padding amount from the width to preserve the padding which we have set on the h scroll, and let's do the same thing for the height. So let's copy this thing and let's change the width to height, and let's give it a temporary background of pink so we can see them individually. Okay, and now let's give it a margin bottom of 20 pixels, and we don't want any margin on the last h scroll block. So let's say h scroll block last child and margin 0. Okay, and let's set the position to relative so we can absolutely position the background and letter class. Okay, so now let's target the background in the scroll block. So let's say h scroll block and then the background, and first of all let's set the position to absolute, and let's set top 0, bottom 0, right 0, and left to 0 as well. So it will occupy the full width and height of its parent, and let's save that. So now let's target each of the background class using the nth child selector and give them a background image and a color. Okay, so I have already typed out a background image from the source.unsplash.com and a hex colors. Okay, so first of all let's target them one by one using the nth child selector on the h scroll block. So h scroll underscore block, then the nth child 1, and then the background. Okay, and now let's copy the first background from this file and paste it here. Okay, and now let's copy this whole thing and paste it 4 times.
So 1, 2, 3 and 4. So in total there will become 5. Okay, and now let's change the nth child in succession. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, and now let's copy this respective backgrounds and paste it properly on each of them. So second one, and then the third one, fourth one,
and finally the fifth one. Let's save that. So as you can see, our background images are loaded and looking gorgeous, but we need to fix some of the background styles. Okay, let's copy this scroll block background. Let's cut it and paste it down here. And to increase the specificity, let's append that section with the class of scroll. So now let's change the background size, background dash size to cover. Okay, and background position to center. Okay, and to add a cool effect, let's add a property called background dash blend dash mode, and let's set it to luminosity. So as you can see, we got this cool effect with this background blend mode, looking gorgeous. So now let's move on to the scroll block and the letter class, which is a span. Okay, and first of all, like we did on the background, let's change the position to absolute, and to position them in the center, let's say top 50% and left 50%. And now let's use the transform function, and let's say translate -50% comma -50%. Okay, and let's change the font size to this really big number of 150 pixels and color to white. Oh, why we are not? Let's check that out. Oh, we misspelled the scroll class name. Okay, so as you can see, our letters are appeared. And now let's do one more thing. Let's change the font weight to bold. Okay, so right now our page is vertically scrolling as usual, but we don't want like that. So now let's do some magic with the transform function. So first of all, let's get back to the scroll section right here, and let's add a property called transform origin. So transform dot dash origin, and let's set it to right top. Our transform will take place from this point. Okay, and now let's add a transform function. So let's say transform with the rotation of, so let's say rotate -90 degrees, and let's save that. So as you can see, our page is horizontally scrolling, and to bring back to its original place, let's add a translate y of -100 VH. So as you can see, our page is now scrolling horizontally, but our content is messed up because we have rotated the whole section by -90 degrees. Our content is also rotated by -90 degrees. So to fix this, we need to rotate the scroll block by +90 degrees. So first of all, let's set the transform dash origin property to left dash, no, not dash, space left dash, left space top, and let's save that. So now our transform function will take place from this point. Okay, and now let's say transform rotate it by +90 degrees, so it will rotate it by clockwise. Let's save that. So as you can see, our backgrounds are moved to the bottom. So to bring it to its original place, let's say translate y, and let's use the calc function, and let's say -100 VH plus 40 pixels. Okay, so as you can see, they have come back to their original place. So now as you can see, our content is laid out properly, and I have added this 40 pixels to preserve the padding which we have added on a scroll section. And for the final trick, let's hide the scroll bar by saying ::, and then the WebKit vendor prefix, and then the scroll bar keyword. Okay, so let's say scroll bar and then width to 0 and height to 0 as well. So as you can see, the scroll bar is disappeared now. So that's it guys, we have created a pure CSS horizontal scrolling page. I hope you have learned something new from it, and if you really do, please click on that like button and also subscribe to my channel. And also please consider supporting the channel on the patreons.com. So that's been it. Until next time, keep on hacking. Goodbye.